Games have evolved into massive expansive worlds with an incredible attention to detail, subtle features and intelligent characterization. Looking at the worlds created by the likes of Bethesda, Crystal Dynamics, Irrational Games, Naughty Dog and others, one would be forgiven for thinking that bigger is always better. But the early days of gaming offered something much lighter. It doesn't get much more basic than Pong, and even the likes of Donkey Kong and Pac-Man had simple ideas but immense replayability. Arguably that's something the modern game lacks. No matter how many new game plus or difficulty sets you add, one playthrough is usually enough to satisfy most people. It's fair to say that many modern games lack a long-term hook, and rather are a showcase for developers to try to bring this industry more in line with movies and TV with the quality of narrative and set pieces. That's fine, but every once in a while it's important to be reminded of where we came from, and that's where Nidhogg plays its part perfectly. At first glance you'll wonder how the hell this game took 4 years to develop, but the physics, balance and intelligence that have gone into developing it bring things into perspective. You'll also likely wonder what a place a game like Nidhogg has in the modern day market, and why anyone would be willing to pay more than 69p for it. Basically it's two stick men dueling to the death with swords. As a casual first time observer you'll probably switch off quite quickly. Nidhogg is not going to blow you away with visual quality, the levels in the campaign are fairly repetitive, and the concept will initially seem quite bland. But the magic comes in the playing, and the moment you get involved suddenly time will start to fly. When you understand the tactics, learn the maps and see how the games play out, everything will start to click. The keyboard interface isn't best suited for a game of this type, but fortunately full controller support has been added, which makes things a lot more manageable. There's no expansive campaign to hack and slash through. Your guy will face off against different coloured stickmen in the same repetitive level cycle, and the aim is to beat all your opponents in the fastest time possible. To do that you have to push through your opponent back 3 screens, run your victory mile and then get munched up by a dragon. The game takes cues from Norse mythology, with Nidhogg roughly translating into a dragon that gnaws at the root of the world tree Yggdrasil. The name Nidhogg is also believed to identify the role of a horrific monster that chews the corpses of those guilty of murder, adultery and oath-breaking. But interestingly, the campaign takes on more significance the more often you play the game. The AI opponents become progressively more challenging and will force you to adapt and change up your fighting style and tactics in order to break through their guard. This will help prepare you for the main event, of course, human competition. There are 3 stages of deflecting attack: a low guard, a mid-level guard and a high guard. Players raise or lower their sword with the up and down arrows, or W and S if you're one of them Waslot, in order to challenge an incoming attack from another player. Sometimes it's better to be slightly low with your sword so you can lift it up for a quick disarm, or be slightly above so you can power down. However, a player is not automatically defeated once they're disarmed. In fact, they're potentially more dangerous. In addition to being a fencing champion extraordinaire, your character can assume ninja-like qualities which can also disarm an enemy and suddenly turn the whole confrontation into a punch-up. For instance, leap in the air and you can descend down on an enemy with a flying kick which will knock them straight back down to the ground. Or if you're feeling bold and daring, you can produce an athletic forward roll or cartwheel and leg sweep them. Once an enemy is floored, you can then snap their neck on the ground and continue moving towards the finishing line. Of course, you can also pick up any of the dropped swords on the ground as well and get back to dueling. You can even throw your sword at an enemy. Nidhogg doesn't punish you for playing a certain way. In fact, you need to be mindful of multiple ways to kill in order to outlast the competition, and it's all tactical. Standing across the battlefield from an enemy creates a fresh kind of human chess. These battles won't play out in the same way, and to win you'll need to be resourceful, mindful of your environment, and clear on ways each enemy fights. For instance, one map conceals your enemy from you behind blades of grass, such as the one we're seeing right now. Another map has travelators, and another features a long straight corridor, forcing a winner through dueling. By giving you 3 screens retreat each, the game ensures there is enough time for feeling that process between you and your opponent, but just because you push an opponent to the final screen, that doesn't mean the game is over. My first few games saw me and my AI opponent go back and forth. I was familiarising myself with the jutting movements of the sword, initially trying to mirror my opponent move for move. To begin with, that seemed the logical thing to do. I can catch him off guard. Most of the time though, our duels ended up pretty evenly and I didn't make much progress. The right of way went back and forth, and the majority of our time was spent battling across only 2 of the screens. Battles lack pace and killer instinct, quite honestly, and any half-experienced player would have come in and taken us out in a heartbeat without even trying. Eventually, after a 10-minute battle, I finally beat my first opponent, having got into the game completely cold and taken longer than most to acclimatise myself to the style of play and get a better understanding of everything handles. But I still won, so there. And after that first victory I found myself becoming more and more confident. I started to charge on my enemy with reckless abandon, sometimes even rolling into battle and striking my sword outright. But like a charging bull, I found that strategy would get me outsmarted and killed 9 times out of 10, so I needed to rethink things. Instead, I went for aerial assaults mixed in with standard dueling, and soon noticed the difference. My opponent was struggling to keep up with me, and I was starting to build more and more momentum. That's Nidhogg in a nutshell. Never be afraid to change if one strategy isn't working out for you. Naturally, playing a human opponent means they'll respond to your movements quicker than AI, but the campaign does help you get used to how the game will play out in the online space. But there are a surprising number of ways to win. You can even take the cowardly route, get a kill to claim the right of way, and then sprint to the finish line by continually leapfrogging over your opponent and maybe occasionally surprising them with a quick disarm. Your right of way only disappears once you've been killed, and that makes any enemy extremely dangerous once they've managed to get one up on you. Nidhogg is in urgent need of network maintenance, however, especially through the matchmaking surface. For now, the best way to play the game is against friends in the local tournaments or one-off battles. That's how the game was originally built and intended to be played, so that's how it is best experienced. However, if you have no willing local combatants, you'll probably find yourself quickly becoming bored with the limited features currently offered in the game. Still, Nidhogg is genius and a celebration of our game in yesteryear, with a hardcore difficulty curve and some truly addictive multiplayer features that will keep you coming back. The implementation of tournaments is local gaming at its finest, and the game differentiates itself considerably from anything else currently in the online space. What's more, it's a game that can fit on any format, even mobile, making sure it will surely stand the test of time in the years to come. Still, if you don't have a group of friends or a regular group of willing couch buddies, Nidhogg doesn't have much to offer you right now. The online component is poor and needs urgent, extended maintenance, and speedruns against the AI are unfortunately quite limited. Controversial price point aside, and as with limited levels and Juttery Online, Nidhogg is still simply brilliant. Nostalgia burns bright here with a fantastic tournament mode, simple pick up and play controls and gameplay, and heart-stopping, blood-pumping speedruns. This is hopefully a wonderful start to what promises to be a fantastic year for independent games. I'm Ray Wilmot, this is for Expansive, we'll see you next time.